Hello and welcome back to a Kooky corner of YouTube. Today I fancied doing something a little bit silly and a little bit easy, easy-ish. Just something that's just going to be just a chillax kind of a thing to do. And so I was thinking of Barry, the Love Walrus. And I actually sketched him out in my sketchbook because I wanted to do something with him. Love him to bits. And there's a sketch of him anyway. Now what I hope to do is to hoop him up. I want to put him in a hoop and I just want to stitch him and play around with him a little bit. Just simple back stitching and maybe a little bit of applique, just really simple. And if you've not done anything like this before, this might be a really, like a really simple thing to do stitch wise. So I've got Barry, here he is. And what I did was I took a photograph of him and I made him into a sticker basically. Can do that on iPhones. I don't know if you can do that on any of the ones. Enlighten me if you know how to do that on your other phones. Literally, you just kind of hold on to him and then transfer him into another program. And I transferred him into Pages, which is like the max version of Word. So I put him in there, put him to the size I wanted him, and then duplicated him. Well, quadruplicated him because I put 4 on a page, and I printed it out on this Solvay. I'll tell you about this in a sec. So Solvay is, well, it's Sticky Fabry Solvay to give it its full name, and it is self-adhesive, fabric-light, water-soluble stabilizer. So what I did was, what you can do with this is it goes into your inkjet printer and it will print out some sticky stabilizer, and this is the said stabilizer with four Barrys on it basically. Sorry about the sunshine that's streaming through my window right now. So yeah, we've got 4 Barrys on there. And it missed out the heart that I drew at the side of him, but I thought I can just do a little applique heart when I do my stitching. So what you do then is you'll grab your scissors, grab mine quickly, and cut out your Barry. Like so. Around him. That's 1 Barry. He's a little bit bigger than the one in the book because I sized him up a little bit to go in the hoop. But yes, there he is. And what we do now is we hoop up with some fabric that we want to stitch on, and then I'll show you what we do next. So here's my hoop. I've put some nice like a minty blue fabric in there. Sorry about the light, people. I do apologise, but I just really need to show you this before the light goes. So I'm just happy to have light at all. So we've cut out our Barry. Now this is a sticky paper. So take it off. And I'm going to try and line it up as best I can. Let's have him there. Whoopsie. Come on, Barry. Feels a bit like micropore tape. That's what it feels like. Now this technique's going to maybe come in a little bit handy for when you're doing your postcards. I'm going to use this technique, I think, for something that I'm going to do for February's postcard, my sample of, so that you can see what I'm doing. But it's really handy for getting stitching on. or getting guidelines onto your hoop. Really handy. And I think this is from Amazon, I do believe. I got this on Amazon because it was the cheapest one at the time. But it's really useful stuff and definitely a good way forward. So what we're going to do is to do some really simple backstitch. That's my plan for Barry. I'm just going to backstitch him in maybe a darker blue, or something that's going to make him stand out. And then we're going to have applique tusks, I think, which we'll probably do in felt, and a little heart. So like the drawing, I'm going to do a little applique heart at the side of him as well. And you could also add some decorative stitching around him. But I'm just going to show you how to do the basic Barry, and then it's up to you. You can do whatever you like with Barry. I'm just going to thread up now, and I'm going to make a start on the back stitching. Okay, so I've tilted the camera now. Hopefully we have Barry in view and not too much sunlight distracting us. I have used this really nice dark blue thread. Let me show you. It's a DMC 820 and it's a cotton pearl. Put a knot in one end and I'm going to make a start. I'm going to start down at this bottom part here. And it's just going to be really, really simple. Not think about it too much. Backstitch. So you make one stitch and you go further ahead in the line. It's really hard to do this when I'm on camera. And then go back to where that last stitch ended. Put it through. And then you go forward from the back with the stitch length. Take it back to that one. That's why it's called a back stitch, because you go back. So forward and back. That one was slightly out. I'm going to take that out again. If you make a mistake, don't worry. You can just take it out, rethread it, and put it back in again. You can see my desk is filled with stuff at the minute. I'm doing so many things. It was maybe quite ambitious of me to think I could do so many things in 1 month, but we know we're getting there. We're plodding along. That's now frayed at the edge, so let's take that off. Rethread. And I've had a lot of beautiful entries for the postcard stitch along. I've made sure I've saved all the pictures of them. You've still got maybe just under a week left if you want to join in by sending me your picture. You can either do that on Instagram or send it me on my Facebook page, which is just Call Kooky Creatures in both instances. This is where it's not going to thread. I'm going to pause it, thread it. So yes, if you still would like to join in, then there is still time. And then the new month begins on, I think it's Thursday. Is it Thursday? I don't know. My brain's gone to jelly. Next week, 1st of February anyway. And we will be doing Zodiac Mind Warp as our theme for the month. You can take that whichever way you like. You can do it as a straight up zodiac, so you could pick your zodiac sign and depict that in some way on your postcard. You could go even deeper and start to look more astrologically astronomically rather than astrologically. So you could go for the planets, maybe do something with that. You could look at alternative zodiacs. So you could look at the Chinese zodiac and look at their signs and do something along those lines. You could do your own sign as a Chinese zodiac sign because there's a lot of animals involved, as there are in ours, but I think the Chinese are mainly all animals, the Chinese zodiac signs. Correct me if I'm wrong. Right, so you can see that my line of stitching is going along nicely. It's really rather relaxing. You just don't have to think too much about it, just making sure that you're getting your needle back into that last place. And for this reason, this is one of the stitches that I use in my postcards and in a lot of my stitching. People always ask me, what stitches do you use? And basically I use I think it's about 5 main stitches when I'm doing slow stitching or whatever. And they are this one, back stitch, running stitch, I do satin stitch, chain stitch, and blanket stitch, or a variation of blanket stitch, which is just an over sewing stitch. So that's really all I do. Maybe a few cross stitches, so let's say 6. And in fact probably more cross stitch than satin stitch, but I do occasionally go into some satin stitch as well. And that's really it. So when you know 1 or 2 of those, even, you can just get on with your slow stitching. You don't need to know any fancy stitches. In fact, simply a running stitch will get you very far on a lot of things. That's all you need to know in order to get going. Or this back stitch. But the running stitch is one that mainly people use within slow stitching because it kind of lends itself to it, should we say. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and finish Barry off and have a cup of coffee. All I'm going to do is back stitch around him all the way around. I won't do his tusks. I'll just do the stitches there because I want to make those out of felt and add those in somehow. How I'm going to do that, I'm not sure quite yet, but that's the plan. So I'm going to do all of around him and maybe get his eyes, nose, mouth and whiskers in. Still considering, I might just still do the back stitch of the tusks as well. So yeah, anywhere there's a line, I'm going to back stitch, and the little details on his fins and his tail and everything and the whiskers. So that's all going to be back stitched. I'll be back when I finish that and we'll have a look at what we do next. So I've done my outline of Barry. Now I had a little thought while I was stitching him in this one. I thought, actually what I could do, instead of doing a pliqued felt, I could just do some white tusks and maybe a different colour whisker. That was a thought I was having. And also maybe I'd do him a black nose and some French knots for eyes or beads. I can't decide yet. So I'm just going to hunt out a couple more threads so that I can do that. And also maybe I could do the little details on these fins again in the blue. I've just realised I didn't do those ones yet, so I could do those as well. So I found out my white DMC, and I've also got a black, this is an anchor pearl cotton. So I thought I'd do black for his nose and maybe French knots for his eyes. So you could either do French knots or beads or any other way you think of doing them. And the details on his fin I'm going to do in the blue again as well. The white is going to be for his tusks. Now I've got 2 ways of doing this and I'm trying to figure out what's the best way. I might just outline them, which is what I might just do in the back stitch, and the same for the whiskers. I could also do like a satin stitch on his tusk, so I might try one, see what it looks like, and then if it doesn't work, go back to plan A. So I'm going to carry on with this with those little amendments, and I'll show you when I've done. So here he is. Barry's all stitched up. Now what I need to do is to go and take this and run it under some water, and that will start to dissolve the solvay. Basically, yeah, you just carefully cut away the excess fabric solvay, so I can do that. Remove any that remains by submerging and agitating the project in warm water for 2 to 3 minutes. Rinse thoroughly, air dry on a towel or in the dryer if your project allows. If any stiffness remains after it is dry, simply repeat the process. So I'm going to cut away any bits I can cut away. I don't think it's possible. I think most of it's, yeah, I can cut some of it away. And then I will rinse it in some warm water. And I'll be back to show you what we're going to do next. So here's Barry. He's been rinsed off in the sink, and he has been replaced in the hoop, because obviously I took it out of the hoop to wash it, and now he's just having some applique attached to him, and I'm going to have fun with some more decoration, maybe adding in some more stitches. Not quite sure exactly what I'm going to do with him yet, but he's looking good so far. And so I thought you might like to have a go at making your very own Love Walrus, and I have got a download that you can download from me with, well, it would have 4 Barrys on it, so you've got plenty to go at. Now, if you haven't got any of the solvay, don't worry, you can just trace him and put him behind your piece of fabric and just draw him on as you usually would, maybe transfer for your embroidery that way. You could make him into applique, so you could just do an applique Barry if you wanted to. So just cut out the pieces out of fabric and make a fabric Barry. I'm interested to see what you come up with. So if you do have a go, then post him on Instagram or on my Facebook page, and then I'll be able to see what you've done, and we'll all have a set of Barrys to look after us through the coming month. I hope you ever enjoyed this. If you have, show me a thumbs, so do me a like, and if you're enjoying the content here, please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you very much, and I will see you back here with something else very soon. Bye for now.